Hello everyone. This is the Dungeon Defenders Redux series, episode 1. In this series, I will be starting from level 0 and trying to get as geared as possible, do as many things as possible. I have about 1500 hours in the game. I know a lot of different builds. I know where the majority of the pets are, and which ones are good, which ones are bad, which items are bad, which items are good, how to get gear, how to start from 0 and get to gear very quickly as well. Starting off, Pirate Invasion, level 0 with the Series EV. Pirate Invasion, Ascension Hardcore. Up speed. For whatever reason on this map, these chests drop armor and weapons before you even have to do a wave. It can be really good like this one. Level 60 and you get 100 tower damage. Go ahead and pick it up. I may not use that. Right now I'm looking for Cursed and Torn armor or weapons and hoping that they have tower damage, which is this stat right here. Cursed and Torn items are equipable at level 1, and on this map they can occasionally roll the stats that you want. Right now I'm looking for tower damage, tower HP, which is this, and then hero speed and cast rate. This series will mostly just be going over how to get gear, maybe not a lot of in-game farming. I'll still probably do some achievements, but this isn't what this series is for. It's for teaching new players the game, or new players to Redux how to get geared quickly at least. Grab that, it has hero speed. This can take about 10 to 15 runs. Get anything. That. Level 12. Go ahead and grab that. After I get an item that's equipable at level 1 with tower damage, I will most likely be going to Dread Dungeon on easy, medium, or hard. And G once you're done with all the gems and you get the mana, reset. And Dread Dungeon is just for XP. And then once I have about 50 to 100 of tower HP and beam damage, which is tower damage, then I can do another map, Tinker's Lab, Nightmare Hardcore, first wave. And when I do that map, I'll get significantly more XP. I'll be able to get to level 74, which allows me to equip myth gear. And then also after you complete first wave of Tinker's Lab, myth gear can drop from the chest, and it can be fairly good, especially, this early. Get to myth gear in like under an hour if you're especially lucky on this map at least. Get really unlucky on this map sometimes and you can be 20 runs and you don't find anything that's usable. Grab items that are around level 12. You're hoping that you get Cursed or Torn, but a bit of the reason for the series is just general lack of Dungeon Defenders content like this, cast rate, and especially Dungeon Defenders Redux content. And I see new players coming to Redux occasionally, but there's so much information overload, so many different maps. Having a general guide like this series will be can help alleviate that issue. When I was getting into Redux, I originally watched Chiku the Darklings YouTube series, and it helped me better understand what was good, what maps to farm. It's a bit outdated now. That series is still enjoyable to watch, but information's a bit outdated. It takes significantly longer in his video to get good gear past myth. You can still watch his series if you just want to. You can follow it if you want. It'll be slightly less efficient than this series though. But it'll still get you to ultimate gear, which is a couple of steps beyond myth. It'll just take longer. No need to really rush either if you don't want to. You can go ahead and do the campaign if you're a new player. Finish the campaign and then come back to this series. Although, once you've done the campaign, you'll most likely have the stats needed to do Tinker's Lab First Wave, which is around 50 to 100 of each of these stats, tower damage and tower health. Well, G at the end of the wave. And then you can just jump straight into Tinker's Lab, Nightmare Hardcore, First Wave. Looking for anything with tower damage right now, and tower HP as well. Another YouTube series that it's more closely similar to in terms of the route you use to get to gear is Beep. Beep is a Dungeon Defenders YouTuber, and it's a series on Redux called Quest for Completion, where he attempts to get Ultimate Defender and all the achievements and stuff like that. He got fairly far, but he eventually quit Redux for whatever reason, which was unfortunate because the series was enjoyable to watch. He eventually quit, but he got fairly far, and this series can also work as a sort of guide to get past the slow early game, which can be very slow if you don't know which maps to farm and stuff. This is really good. Level 27, 35, and then 140 ups. If I get something that's equipable with beam damage of about 10, I can do easy deeper well, or dungeon rather, and then get to level 27 and equip that, and level it up the mana that I'm getting clearing the map. Control G always, and then mana. This is also a very good early game mana farm. You can get about 500,000 for 1 to 2 minutes. Really efficient. At this, I mean, I'm level 1. Haven't cleared any maps, done anything. Go ahead and grab that piece. Those are really useful. There's an unfortunate lack of Dungeon Defenders content, and a lot of guides, they're meant for late game players, and getting to that point where you kind of understand or even have the stats to do those builds be fairly difficult. So this video series should help alleviate that in-between time between early game and late game when you can just farm any map you want on any difficulty. This is most likely the slowest part of the run. Just looking for anything. Bother with it. 15 to 20 runs is generally the amount you need to do. Get something that you can use. Tower damage. You can get especially unlucky though, and you could go 30 runs and not find anything. But hopefully you would have found something that was equipable, like level 12 or something. Worst case, you can always do Dread Dungeon easy, get some levels, and then rank up tower damage, a bit of tower HP, and then do Dread Dungeon medium till you are leveled up enough to use the level 12 armor or weapon with tower damage on it. Go to hard. And once you have around 50 to 100 of both tower damage, tower HP, and go and do Tinker's Lab. $27. During the early part of this series, first few episodes, there won't be a lot of skips and cuts because the majority of what I'm doing is important, or there's a lot of information that I'm giving out. There's a Dungeon Defenders wiki, and if you just Google a question or a map, you'll generally find an answer. If for some reason don't, there's also a Discord called DDRNG, and you can find an invite link also on Google. I might go ahead and try Dread Dungeon on easy. I might be able. I just got an armor piece, tower damage, but it's level 12. It's a cursed item, but it is all negative. Wow. If only that tower stat was positive. Current intended route to get gear is clearing this map till I get till I get something like this. This is perfect. Okay, I don't need to do this map anymore. Clearing something tower damage and then do Red Dungeon. Okay, turn to Tavern. I'm gonna upgrade this a few times with my mana. Not too much though, because I only have so much.
You can access the forge from anywhere, but you can only sell me
Got fairly lucky with that piece. Now do Red Dungeon. Probably do hard with 50. The tower health is a little low, but let's see. This is just to get leveled up enough to have 40 to 50 tower HP, preferably cast rate and speed as well. Just so that way when you're doing Tinker's Lab, you can still run. There's a time limit on the build. If you don't have any cast speed or movement speed, it can be very difficult. To follow this build generally, it doesn't to be precise. 2 on that bottom side. 1 here, and then once the wave starts, I'll get mana. Place the second one. You have lower tower stats for whatever reason. can always do easy on this map, or medium. I'll just place the second one, that's roughly. Just wait here for mana. Place it there. The orcs are pretty much the only thing you have to worry about when you have this amount of stats. Yep. May not be able to complete this actually. I don't have any knockback. I think the map's done yet. That can happen. I think I'll do medium actually. Even though I have a lot of power damage, it's still a little low. Power HP. Up into medium. Past Tinker's Lab. So after that, I will be getting a fissionable, which is acquirable from Moonbase. And you can do Moonbase with relatively low stats, like around 500-600 your primary stat on hardcore. And it'll reward you with a fissionable pet, which can roll upwards of 600 in any stat. Get very, very good for early game. Big power spike. And then after that, most likely Town in the Cliffs on Insane Hardcore, or a Genie Scimitar to farm a map that will hopefully allow me to skip the majority of armor farming for early game, going from myth to ultimate. And then once I have moderately better gear, I'll need to start farming XP. And I'll most likely just be doing that on Tinker's Lab Ascension Hardcore, about 1 to 2,000 stats. You can farm Ascension and it'll give 10 times the amount that Nightmare does, which Nightmare gives about 1 to 2 million XP on Tinker's Lab. To equip ultimate armor, you need, I think, 180 million, 330 million, something like that. Quite a lot. And to equip ults, I think it's 14, or not ults, but myth gear. I think it's around 13 to 14 million XP total, which is about 11 to 12 runs of Tinker's Lab Nightmare Hardcore first wave. I don't think I can equip anything quite yet. Maybe I could do the mech. Just need level 12 and then I can that at 0 speed. To get level 12 I'll get this and then I can also just I'll try hardcore. There are a lot of maps that can be farmed for XP in Redux. The maximum amount of XP you need to get to level 100, the total actually, is 1 billion. 90, level 90 is 330, 340, something like that. But then you need triple that to go from 90 to 100. And going from 90 to 100 allows you to equip ultimate gear. Ultimate plus, ultimate plus plus, and then tier Redux, Divine and Void. Divine and Void armor are the highest quality armor possible. The highest stat rolls, they give a higher set bonus modifier, which set bonus modifier is very important. When you have 4 of the same type, like this is pristine, you have 3 more pristine pieces in your armor slots. If you have armor above myth and above, you get a set bonus modifier that will increase the stats of the armor by a percentage depending on the armor type. Divine and Void have the highest increase. It's roughly 1.45. You're getting about 45% more stats, which is quite a lot when you're receiving that for every single. Later on, items can roll 8 stats. And getting 45% increase on that is very significant. Getting it for myths gives reduced, but it's still quite a lot and generally worth it. I'm being a little bit lazy with builds. Got caught. I'm gonna summon a physical beam just in case. Should be fine with around 50 tower damage. Just trying to get to level 12 and then I should have enough stats. Sometimes the ogres can get stuck over here, unfortunately. Luckily I have a weapon that has holographic decoy on it, so it makes my holographic decoy do a lot of damage. An alternative up this probably. An alternative to Tinker's Lab Nightmare Hardcore for armor farming and XP is either Sky City Nightmare Hardcore, and what you do on that is you place walls everywhere, blocking access to every single core, and then you use the Series EV holographic decoy, which is on the number 2 button. It spawns a copy of Series EV, and then it'll eventually explode after a while, and it does a lot of damage when you have stats on it. Fortunately, I can't equip this because I need. But I'm going to equip this. Can't go equip this. Go ahead and upgrade. I'll go ahead and cap out this. To be a little careful not to up too much because I only have so much mana. Mana is generally only a problem in the early to mid game. After that, you can farm Winter 1 and Win 2 on its medium hardcore, which is really easy to do. And it'll give you small coal, which I'll show in Tavern. Small coal are dropped as an end map reward, completing Winter Mire, Winter Wonderland 2, and I think another map as well. And then in here, one small coal is 2 billion. And you can complete the map on DM difficulty with relative ease. After you get a fish in a bowl and have some moderate stats, you just place walls around the crystals, place a few defenses, and the map pretty much clears itself. You will need a DPS weapon or DPS pet, because there are bosses at the end of the map, but they're generally not too difficult. Now into campaign, Tinker's Lab, Never Heard Core. Grab this chest. This build doesn't have to be exact, but generally follow roughly where the walls are. The walls are the most important part. And the placement of the proton beam isn't super important. Press number 9 on keyboard to summon that. But roughly around here. This is a modification of Chiku's build used in his series. It's really, really efficient. You can use other characters to complete this map on Emerald Core first wave, but Series EV is generally the best. I may place a wall here on the first run. There's a orc that can come through here, and I don't think I have enough damage on the stats that I'm at. Kill it before it hits my core. I'll place a wall there, and then I'll have to place a proton beam after. It's just following this route. You can go the other way around and you know the build, but this is probably the easiest way. I don't know how long this series will go, but I'll try to show the majority of the maps and stuff like that. Getting to ultimate gear, XP, and then I'm not sure after that. Because the goal is just to allow new players to get to late game and be able to farm whatever they want and know how to and where the good things are to farm, stuff like that. The shock beam placement does not have to be perfect. Just make a general X here. Your stats are lower, it can be a little risky, but you can always place another shock beam if you need to. Do be careful not to die during the wave, as occasionally an enemy will get stuck, or it'll somehow avoid the defenses and break your crystal while you're unable to fight back. Also, if you don't have movement speed or cast speed, be really close on the timing on this. This is the unfortunate part about this. Normally I would place a third shock beam there, but on the first run I don't have a lot of cast speed, so I need to rush through. I still need to place 2 walls over there, grab 2 chests. This is gonna be close. Getting the walls down is the most important part. For some reason I have to build during the wave. Place the walls first and hope. Make sure you don't stay too close to the towers, because enemies will hit you. Too close to the wall. Place them like roughly here. Too much. Careful of that exploding enemy. Hopefully it doesn't hit me. Oh my. That can happen. I think I need to restart. To be very quick, efficient on the first run of this, fortunately. I think you can disable hardcore and just have it set to default and you won't have a timer, but you're really struggling on the first run. After the first run you'll get XP and you can level up cast speed and movement speed. Hero speed, what it's called. I'll try a shock beam, hopefully it works. You cancel your builds too many times. That's what cost me last run. Accidentally canceled a few builds, and you don't have a lot of time on the first run. Another option is also farming Dread Dungeon a little bit longer than I did, and using some of your points you receive from level up, putting them into cast and hero speed. You're really struggling. If you were playing through the game normally, and you were just progressively doing slightly harder maps, instead of strategy like this, it would take several hours to get to this point. Well, the point after clearing this map. Getting myth and level 74 takes several hours, but with this rough guide, it can be an hour and a half to 2 hours if you're especially unlucky or your builds keep failing for some reason. And you'll be level 74 with full myth gear. And then you can start doing other maps. After completing this map and getting 74, you don't have to do Town in the Cliffs, but it's generally best. As getting Genie Scimitar allows you to skip a lot of farming maps on survival. Skip directly to ultimate gear pretty easily. This one's gonna be close as well. I'll just place the walls as fast as possible. Roughly around there. Doesn't have to be too specific, but there we go. Be good. I'll just make sure not to get hit by the Cabal again. Okay, that place is quick enough. There we go. The walls are fairly tanky even with only 40 stats. It's kind of ridiculous. What? Hopefully that's fine. May not be. The enemies can get stuck. Even though the spider could aggro through the wall like that. The enemy's very weird aggro sometimes. We'll see how this goes. Sometimes enemies will just randomly target something else and then die to that once they kill the wall. Doesn't seem like I'm gonna be so lucky. Yeah, having no cast speed is pretty miserable. If this fails a third time, I may need to disable hardcore and do it with no timer on the first run. Because I think it disables the timer. You can do this with other characters, like I was saying. Adept, Apprentice, Squire, Countess can all do this with around similar stats, but they'll most likely need more as their stat scalings are not quite as good as Series EV is early game. But around similar stats, you should be fine. For some reason, don't have a Series EV. Once you do about a run or two of this, you can also add in alt characters and level those up, as they'll be needed very soon. The main alt characters you'll need right away are Initiate or Monk, and then a Monk or Tower Boost, separate Monk, and then a Summoner as well. And if you don't have a Series AV, make one, but if you for some reason can't, then you'll most likely need more stats for the next part. Just getting efficientable. So it's a lot quicker, I didn't cancel mine. Let me go ahead and just because. There we go. Just have to hope not to get hit by a spider or a kobold or literally anything. I don't even know how that spider hit me. Rode over the wall somehow. Kobold, I was just standing way too close. That was my fault. Try and grab mana. I think I'm gonna let that Kobold explode before I go in. Place one like that. Be a little bit better. Hopefully a random minute doesn't hit me this time. I'm gonna... Just please don't hit me, spider. Here we go, to hit the wall that time. I don't know if I need to place that there. Trying to push the ogre work back a little bit. That should get killed by that. Just trying to line it up with that. Actually add a shock beam. Okay, the orc just randomly targets where it's going. Place that there, that should be good. And look at this goblin, it's somehow one-shot me. Again, I got stuck. There we go. Okay, first clear done. Bit of a struggle. About 2 million XP. I'm definitely gonna up speed and cast rate. And the rest into this. Shift and control, add multiple points at a time. And there's the first piece of myth gear. Less than an hour in. Grab this chest under here, actually. Another piece. Doesn't really matter if it has all the stats or not. Just grabbing it is worthwhile for now. Just looking for anything that has these 3 stats and preferably this one as well. Positive on it. Also looking for weapons with the same thing. That one's really good. That's all the stats I need. To do Moonbase on hardcore, you need about 400 to 500, which you can generally get fairly easily, even if you get unlucky with gear. If you for some reason get especially unlucky and have no sets, you can always use a different set. You won't get the bonus, but you'll at least have stats. I think on this run I can add more characters now. I have more stats and I'm running around a little bit quicker. Same build. Same build, just a lot easier. Once you get a Genie Scimitar, you can even get Diviner Voids if you're especially lucky on the first Divine Crystal you get, which is what the Genie Scimitar is used for from Insane. The Genie Scimitar from Insane can let you farm Assault Pack Part 2, and that, when completed on Ascension, has a chance increased by the amount of alt characters you have added to give you Divine Crystals. Which, there's a Divine Forge in Redux, which allows you to craft any armor piece. So like gloves, pristine, and it gives you 10 of them. And they have good ult rate. Ult rate is an indicator of the rough amount of ults you need to get a Divine or a Void, or a ult plus plus, which is also very good. You're just trying to get as many ults as possible to get as many Divine, Voids, ult plus plus as possible. But Divines and Voids won't be equipable for a while, neither will plus plus or U plus, Ultimate plus. Need to be level 100 to use those, unfortunately. I'll need to get a pet or usable weapon, and at early on you can complete Deeper Well Ascension. Doesn't have to be hardcore. You can complete Deeper Well Ascension hardcore waves 1 through 3, and you'll get about 12 million XP. I'm gonna go ahead and add all the characters. F3 on the keyboard. If for some reason this menu doesn't pop up, you can click F8, and that'll toggle full screen of your main character, which is the one in the left side of the screen currently, but it'll be upper left otherwise. I'm gonna add a monk. That's what I'm using currently. I'll add a initiate and a summoner. Now, when you're adding ults, click F3 through F5 adds an ult, but you need to do them in progressing order. And then what I'm doing with my monk is running over to where the enemies spawn. I'm just gonna hit an enemy once or twice and then run back. This allows this character to get more XP. Significantly more. Almost double what the other characters will get. May need to be able. Oops. I don't know how I died. Hopefully this should be fine. If an enemy glitches out, I think this may restart. Not having hero HP makes it really easy to get one shot. Hopefully that goblin gets hit. May need to go to my monk and push him. Ah, that is really unfortunate. F7 removes all characters, and then I'll need to restart, unfortunately. A lot of enemies are hitting me that shouldn't be. Not really sure why. I think I may need to up hero HP so I can survive at least one attack if I randomly get hit by something. I think I collided with a spider somehow. Wasn't jumping or anything, I don't think, but randomly hit me. Unfortunate. Usually I don't really fail this much on this map, but today maybe I'm just a little bit off. A lot of weird behavior is happening. Usually enemies will get stuck, but they won't randomly just hit you or curve their bullets around a wall like they did that first Spider-Man way back. Really unfortunate. Oh well. As long as I can still do the map, it should be fine. And I'll just be doing this map till about level 74. Well, not about. Once every character that I need, which are Series EV, Initiate, and then a Monk, and a Summoner as well. Once those are all level 74 and I can equip Myth Gear, I can leave this map and go get a Fish in a Bowl, and then get a Genie Scimitar from down in the cliffs. Sometimes the wall placement can also cause weird behavior. I'm not really sure why. And here just looks like F3, add my shield, 4, summoner, F5, monk. Run over here with the monk. Enemy, make sure it does at least 1 damage. Back. And then F8 to toggle full screen so I don't have to lagged out by my other characters being rendered in. Be a little bit more cautious this time. Dying 3 or 4 times on this map is... Luckily the build does not take too long, but having to do the map over again can be a little frustrating. Spider, I don't... They have that, so I can just drop it if I need to. What? What killed the sickle beam? Oh, I see it. The mage somehow got stuck. And now he's over here. Stuck. Summon that. You can detonate it by clicking T and then opening your own detonate traps, because it's technically a trap. Alright, where is this mage at? What's going on? It's bugging out. I'm trying not to get too close so it doesn't aggro on me. Alright, there we go. Kill it. And I'll press F8 again. Just to see how much... Yeah, the monk gets a lot more XP. 0.4 million. More roughly. Even it's more than the Series EV that built everything. I add some hero HP. And the rest into hero damage. Left. F7 removes all alts currently in the game. I'm gonna grab weapons that I see. That is fairly good as well. That is really good. That's a builder weapon. Right now I just need 2 because Series EV can hold 2 different weapons at the same time. And then afterwards I'll swap to an initiate. Get a couple monk weapons. Also really good. All tower stats. Not particularly a lot of stats, but positive at least. It's also really good. I don't need Series E weapons anymore. And use my initiate next run. Well, that's equipable now, so. But godly gear piece. Grab every myth that you see. Godly pieces you can just leave unless you want to pick them up if they're positive stats. Always sell a mythical later. 127 negative speed. I guess I won't be equipping that. Fortunate, I guess. Get really unlucky. Luckily I'll be using level 74 gear soon. Hopefully it's not negative like this. I'm just gonna... I'll swap out this gear piece. I'm not gonna use it. Hero speed is way more important than the extra stats I get. Do it quick. There we go. Also had negative hero HP. I'm low. Series EV is used a lot, pretty much every map, but not in the way that it's being used right now. Later on, Series V is just not really used for its tower damage. It's used for 3 towers, mostly 2, the buffed beam, and then the reflection beam, and occasionally the physical beam if you want to block something off, but when you have higher stats you can clear maps so quickly that you just want to use extra defense units on just extra damage, or you don't even want to waste time placing because you're clearing so fast. The monk will most likely hit 74 before the other characters, but that is perfectly fine. The monk will need to be the highest level out of any, because there's a chance that you get Transcendent Genie Scimitar or higher from Insane. I've gotten an ult before from Insane. It's really good. Significantly better than everything else that I had gotten. And what I'll be looking for as well is a Genie pet as an end of map reward, which I can get from any map or majority of the maps. A lot of the time you'll get it from the moon base once you clear that once. If you don't get that, then you can occasionally get it from down on the cliffs, or it'll appear as a shop item, but it'll be very expensive. And the shop items will only appear whenever you complete a map, not whenever you do one wave like I'm doing now. I'll need a Genie Scimitar and then a Genie pet and DPS armor to be able to clear Assault Pack Part 2 early. Come do. F8. Initiate. Summoner. Gas Monk. 5. Toggles the use of the character you want. Do 1 damage and then run away. It's a spider that'll spawn if you wait around here. F8 toggles full screen. Click F2 to go back to your main character. To control it again. Try not to get hit. Place an extra one just to be safe. Get a little bit safer, and then I'm not as worried about the build getting instantly destroyed anymore, so heal myself actually. Hopefully I can survive 1 hit from something. Go ahead and place another. Just have a line of sight. Actually, I don't even think I need one there. Careful not to fall in. Significantly easier once you have just slightly more stats. Orc's not stuck. There's a really slow orc. This orc, always the slowest. Takes the longest by like 10 to 15 seconds. Okay. Now that I have 2 Series EV weapons, I do not need Series EV weapons anymore. I'll go ahead and up hero speed. Be respecting before I do Moonbase. F7 to remove the alts. In case you're wondering how I do like instantly swap, if you click a number key while you're in this menu, so 1 through 8, that'll click the slot you want and instantly select the character and click swap. So you don't have to click several buttons. Hero speed. I'm going to be respecing the character in a little bit anyway. Just looking for monk weapons. Initiate can use monk weapons, and depending on the character you have swapped in, that's the type of weapons that will drop. So if you have an apprentice in, apprentice weapons will drop. Initiate, monk weapons will drop, which initiate can also use. Right now I'm just looking for one with every stat on it. That one's okay. Also looking for one with defense boost for my monk. So I'll need tower boost for Town in the Cliffs. Why is that equipable? What? Is that a bug? Never seen that. I'm level 70 and I can equip a myth. That's strange. I've never seen that. Must be a bug. This is good. This cardboard tube is not even bad. If that's a bug or not, that might be intended. I'll go ahead and use it anyway. It's not a game-breaking bug. I'm not gonna use this till it's level 74 anyway. I'm gonna run back. I think I have enough monk weapons now. Go back to my series EV, click 3, restart level. It's gonna go till level 74. I've done this build a good amount, so don't worry if it's taking you a little bit time to memorize it. It is kind of crazy how much progression you can jump in Redux and just in Dungeon Defenders. Within an hour or two, you can go from 0 to 74 or more. And if you get any assistance at all, you can go to Ultimate Gear within an hour. Get level 90 on majority of your characters, especially in Redux. In Redux, there's this extra difficulty called Ascension. And on Ascension, enemies are harder, generally. And they, for every wave, get more XP. Items drop of better quality, generally. And there's a few special enemies as well on Ascension, I think. Could be wrong. It's a significant difficulty jump, especially on maps that have bosses, because the bosses get extra damage reduction. So the bosses will have like 2 billion XP, which is, I think, close to the integer cap, or already is it the integer cap, which is 2.14 billion. So instead of upping the HP, which is impossible, the integer cap is 2.14 billion. Enemies just get damage resistance from any source. So you'll do significantly less damage to bosses on every map. But a lot of the regular maps that don't have bosses, the difficulty jump is noticeable but not super significant, and once you have a moderate amount of stats, it's not really a worry anymore. I'm just gonna go. I'll be respecing these characters once they're 74. Doing this so I have more heroes. hit once, and then run back. Okay. I'll be careful again, not to die somehow. Oh, and a bit of extra information on Divine Crystals. Any map completed on Ascension, as far as I'm aware, can drop a Divine Crystal. Different maps have different odds. The best map, for farming anyway, is Assault Pack Part 2. I think it is a DLC map, so if you don't have it, that's a bit unfortunate. But I think you would need that Nightmare DLC to be able to play Ascension anyway. So you wouldn't be able to get it regardless if you don't have the Nightmare difficulty pack. And any map completed on Ascension can drop. Assault Pack 2 is the best. I think true boss rush on Ascension per checkpoint has a really high odds. I think it's like 15%. But you don't need to have characters in, and if you're good gear, you can clear it really quickly. But the majority of the endgame players do not use that map to farm Divine Crystals. They use it to farm other. And now that I have monk weapons and everything else, I don't really need weapons. So there's a special thing you can do with Summoner. Summoners do not receive weapons when you open a chest, or when the Summoner is out. So every chest I open will only be able to drop armor. Like that. I will never receive a weapon from an armor. And if you have a Summoner out during a wave of survival, or any map, the only thing that will drop is armor. So Summoner is the best for armor farming on survivals generally. It's not as... The rates for weapons and armor drops on survival, and just any map, when you have a character out that can drop, that can receive the weapons, isn't as bad in Redux. So at especially low stats, it may be worth it to have a Tower Boost Monk out with a Genie Scimitar and a Genie Pet, and just have it T-boosting, making the tower significantly stronger, allowing you to clear harder maps than you otherwise would be able to on survival to armor farm. But it's not super efficient. Generally just better to farm other stuff. Okay, about 3 to 4 more runs. If for some reason you don't want to farm Divine Crystals, you can skip Town in the Cliffs and go directly to Red Dungeon, I think, on Nightmare Hardcore. Complete that, and then if you do survival on that map, past like wave 16 of survival and on, only Transcendent and high quality myths will drop. It's a very good armor farm if you do not want to farm Divine Crystals, but it won't really drop anything higher than Transcendent, which is just one tier above Myth. And then after Transcendent, Supreme, after Supreme, Ultimate, and then Ultimate Plus, and then Divine and Void. Anything past Ultimate is only equipable on level 100. So Ultimate Plus, Divine, Void are all level 100. You need a lot of XP to get that. 1 billion. Which can take a lot of time to farm even in Redux where you get a lot of XP. And then after Dread Dungeon, once you have a good amount of Transcendent gear, which is a step above Myth, you can do King's Game, or you can try a map on Ascension Survival. Just any map, any of the campaign maps, Deeper Well through Summit. I think there's one particular map that I think people farm occasionally, but a lot of the people that play the game don't farm that map because they have much better gear, so they don't need. I think it's, I don't remember the exact name, but it's later on. It has 2 cores. There's like gargoyles. You're in a castle outside, I think. Fortress, maybe. I don't remember the name. I'll have to look it up. And people farm that on Ascension Hardcore. Not sure if they use mix mode. Mix mode just adds like slightly more quality, so the drops you receive, but I think quality caps at a certain wave completed. And the quality, it just determines what type of items can drop, what tier they can go up to. Which tier is just Myth, stuff like that. Myth Transcendent. Hitting once. You can also farm King's Game on Nightmare Hardcore. If you don't want to do an Ascension map or find them too difficult. You can also clear Deeper Well Ascension Hardcore, and then just keep doing that over and over again if you don't want to farm Assault Pack 2. And that'll drop Divine Crystals, but it'll be significantly slower than Assault Pack Part 2. That's the only downside. And then you can also just start farming XP once you can clear Ascension Hardcore Deeper Well. But you'll have to be building every time, which will slow down the total XP per hour. But even still, it's very fast. Go. Last orc should die. Level 73. Almost there. About 2 more runs. Oh, 18 million. I think this episode's running a little long, so I should probably go back to Tavern, see what I have, and then next episode will be Fissionable, finishing up level 74. All the armor first. Trying to keep most of the videos around an hour or less. This first one has a lot of things that are important. I was a little okay with it running longer than that. I'm gonna look at them. I'll look at them later. Okay. 2 armor pieces. Turn to Tavern. I'll go ahead and level this character up. Doesn't really matter too much. Okay. Go back to Eevee. I have about 6 million more. A little bit more than that. It'll be about 3, maybe 4 runs. And let me look at the other. It's 11 million, but I can always hit with this character. It's fine if the summoner for some reason is a little bit delayed. This character is progressing faster than the Eevee, even though. Okay. Also, these are all the characters if you want to make them. They're the characters that'll be needed later on. You don't really necessarily need a DPS summoner, but it can be kind of nice to have. Flash heal, nice ability, this ability. Just being able to run around. DPS monk is just generally better. Early on, this monk will be used as a tower booster. Okay, boom. Unlock all, sell all. It's in here for now. Control and drag allows you to move full inventory as well. Making folders is also recommended. You can make one with this, and then you click this, and then you add a name. And make a folder. I'll make it, and then you can delete it. You can always rename it with this. And then when you're inside a folder, you can click this. We can click close to go out. Let's back up. This is the gear. So far, most likely it will take about 6 more runs, roughly. Not sure if I need to get the summoner leveled up. I think once it has a decent amount of stats, it should be fine, because I'm pretty much just going to use it as a wall. But anyway, next episode, about 6 more runs of Tinker Slab, most likely. Maybe a little bit more for Summoner, I don't know. This character will start to catch up. And then after Tinker Slab, Fissionable. And then maybe Town in the Cliffs in the same episode. We'll see.